Hi, and thank you so much for purchasing one of my specially formulated iaomai healing kits. Or if you're just watching this video because you're thinking of buying one of the kits and you'd like to know, exactly how you use them, you'd like to know a little bit more, then welcome. Hi, my name is Andrew Coulter and I'm a doctor of medical health and the founder of these iaomai healing kits. And I just wanted to create this video to give you some tips and ideas and suggestions on the best way to utilize the combinations of homeopathic, tonic, and spagyrics that I've put together through my 35 years of experience and knowledge in a way to use them for myself, for my family, and for my clients. And they're definitely different than utilizing herbs or essential oils or even supplements, and especially conventional medicine. The way that these are used and the way these function are completely different than probably anything else you've used, unless you've used homeopathy already. And even then, there's a lot of weird misconceptions out there about homeopathy, and I'm going to actually address that in the next video. So be sure to watch for the follow-up video to this, and we'll go over the myths and misconceptions on homeopathy. But for this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my specific tips and suggestions on how to best utilize the kits, the remedies that are in this kit. So the fact that there's no material matter other than the sugar pellet truly in these remedies, it's what makes them safe for anyone of any age, any level of health to utilize, even in conjunction with other things like maybe conventional medicine or your herbs or your supplements. They don't counteract or interact with each other, which makes them so incredibly safe, which really is the reason why I started utilizing them when I was a new mom, because I knew that of anything, I could never do any harm with these remedies. And so that's why they've sort of always been my mainstay. Plus the fact that, unlike everything else, also address not just the physical symptoms that you may have, but also the mental, emotional factors that underlie those physical symptoms all at the same time. So it's so easy and efficient to treat the whole issue all at once. Know that there's a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to these because of all those factors. So the granules that come in each of these kits are simply sugar pellets. They're organic, they're made in Germany, which makes them, completely lactose-free, they're gluten-free, and they're vegan-friendly. And then each of the combinations are infused with my unique combinations that are set in a 90% alcohol base. So the alcohol with the remedies in them are infused into the sugar pellets, and then the alcohol dissipates, and then all you're left with is the energy and the frequency of those remedies in those sugar pellets. Now remember, one pellet is a single dose. So when you take your remedies, you try to get one pellet. I know it's kind of difficult to get one pellet out at a time, but if you can, one pellet is a dose, and you basically put it in your mouth, and the contact with your tongue is what, or in the nerves in your mouth, is what makes the dose. So if you take a pellet, put it in your mouth, let it dissolve, and then say 10 seconds later you put another pellet in your mouth, then you're actually getting two doses really close together. If you dump the whole container in your mouth at once and you let them all dissolve at the same time, then you're actually have wasted your pellets, because that really is still only one dose. Remember, it's the contact in your mouth with the nerves in your mouth and the absorption that makes it a dose. It's a different concept than say, oh, I took an Advil and I'm not going to take another Advil 5 minutes later to get a second dose. There's a difference in how these are utilized. One tiny granule is a dose, and because they're energetic, you can take doses more frequently together. Because the initial action of them is like a nanosecond, it is so quick for your body to absorb into the central nervous system that, as I said, literally if you count to 3 seconds after that granule has dissolved, you can put another one in your mouth, and now you're getting two doses really close together. So let's say you've purchased a kit and you want a remedy for, say, a cough or a sore throat or some severe pain or a bug bite, anything that's sort of what would be considered an acute issue or symptom. Then what I always suggest is the best way to utilize the remedies is to take one granule and put it in your mouth, or put it in some water and stir it all up so it dissolves into all that water, and take a sip. Then a sip becomes a dose. But in an acute, you want to take a dose every 5 minutes or 10 minutes for at least 2 to 3 hours, or as long as your symptoms seem to be really aggravating you, like menstrual cramps. That's another big one that always gets used. You know, you obviously they come on and you're in pain, and you want those symptoms to go away as quickly as possible. So the best way to do that is to take a dose, or a single granule, or a sip of the water you've diluted it in, as often as you can, repeatedly, for as long as you need to, until your symptoms start to abate. And then once your symptoms start easing off, you can ease off the use of the remedy as well. But if your symptoms start to come back again, let's say you use them and your symptoms seem to have kind of gone away, and you stop using the remedy, and then like an hour or two later they start to flare up again, go back to that same pattern. And usually it takes less time the next time for those symptoms to go away, and generally then that means that they'll go away and stay away this time. Or let's say you want to use your remedies for something that's more chronic. Chronic meaning something that's long-standing, it's deep old issue. Say you have eczema for years, or you know, any kind of old emotional or mental issue that is deeply seated. You've been, you know, struggling with it for a long time. Again, it's not going to resolve overnight. It's not going to resolve in an hour. So generally in those cases, if you've bought a kit and you're using remedies for a much deeper, more chronic issue, then I suggest you use either, you know, 1 granule 1 to 3 times a day, or you know, 1 granule mixed in some water and sip on that water 1 to 3 times a day, that kind of thing. You won't need the remedy as often, and it's more like a lapping away at those symptoms. So, you know, you're just kind of, and again, it's really all about you listening to you. You know, how do you feel after you've taken the remedy? Maybe 5, 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, an hour later. You know, even if it is a chronic issue, it might be really strongly affecting you right now, which is why you've reached out to that remedy. So again, think of it more acutely. So take it more often that day, and then maybe the next day, like say it's deep grief issues, or, you know, unresolved anger issues. You know, if you're flaring those emotional states, then of course take it more often. But if you know that you just want to start lapping away at it in a more gentle way, then I suggest taking it once a day, twice a day, 3 times. Just spread it out over the day and see how you feel. You may only need to do that for 1 to 2 days, 3 days, maybe a week, and then you might feel pretty good. So put the remedies aside and then bring them back out again if an occurrence happens in your life. Like let's say you're working on deep anger issues and you think you feel pretty good and you're not really having any symptoms, but all of a sudden somebody comes at you and they're yelling and they're screaming, or a situation happens and you feel yourself getting angry over a trifle, then I'd suggest working with the remedy again, maybe sipping on it that day, or take it a couple times over the next 2-3 days and see how you feel. It's really about you listening to you. And remember, each remedy has its own unique specific purpose, depending on the kit that you've bought. And I mean, I can't for sure know exactly how often you do need that remedy. But if you aren't sure, again, be sure to go through the quick user guide, because that book is designed to give you a quick overview of those specific remedies that are in that kit that you've purchased and how best to utilize them. But ultimately, it really is about you trying to decide if you really need it or not, and learning to listen to when your body shifts and when it doesn't shift. One of the natural laws of the human organism is that disease will leave in the reverse order it was obtained. So let's say you're taking remedies for a physical issue like long-standing eczema or rashes or pain. What you will actually start to notice first when using the remedies, because remember, these remedies are not just addressing the physical, they're addressing the mental emotional at the same time, because as we know, there are always mental emotional aspects to every physical, and vice versa. So when you're taking something for a deep chronic old physical issue, pay attention to your mental emotional state of mind, because that will probably shift first. You should feel a little lighter, a little easier, not quite so stressed about the symptoms probably before you notice any significant changes in the physical. And it's the same with the mental emotional. Let's say you're taking remedies for deep, old emotional mental issues. You probably have some aches or pains or issues that are going on physically that represent that emotional and mental turmoil. And so watch for those to kind of lighten up and have less symptoms before you truly resolve those deep, old emotional and mental issues. And remember that each of these kits can be used both for acute and chronic issues or old, long-standing issues. And that you can't create any side effects, which again, I'll go into in another video, but you can't create anything new. If you see symptoms flare up when you start taking them, that is often an indicator that they're the correct remedy. They're simply stirring up something that's already in there, asking your body to resolve it. And so if that stirring up or healing reaction is a little too intense, then you just slow down taking the remedies. Maybe dilute them longer or take less of them until you feel like your symptoms are settling down, and then start back up again. I will go over this again in the next video, but one of the things that I just want to make sure is oftentimes one of the biggest questions is, oh my God, I've dropped them or I touched them by accident. Again, it's a myth or a misconception that you can't nullify the remedies by touching them. I always drop them into my palm of my hand and then I lick them off the palm of my hand. It just seems to be the easiest way to take them when I'm on the go. So don't think that you can null and void them. You can't. I'll talk more about that in the next video. And if you've purchased ascending dose remedies along with your kit, so if you don't know what that is, the ascending dose is, I talked about the life force and disease leaving in the reverse order. So if you have, say, you've had surgery or you've been in a major accident or you've had a major emotional trauma that is massive and you really are feeling overwhelmed by it, ascending dose remedies, what they do is I create remedies specific to that particular trauma in a low to high potency. And what it does is it goes in stronger over a few days to push that issue out of your life force. So if you're using ascending dose, which I always recommend for like head traumas especially, or any surgeries or anything that could impinge upon the life force that could cause other problems, that's when ascending dose are ideal. So if you bought those and you're utilizing them, you take one a day for up to 6 days, and then once they're done, they're done. But at the same time, you're going to utilize the pellets or the remedy combinations in that same kit. You can utilize them all at the same time as you're taking the powders, and you just utilize them in the right way that you need them according to the instructions. And again, be sure to go through your quick user guide. There's a lot more information in there. Again, this is just a quick video to help you kind of get started. And as well, if you have more questions, please reach out to me. Or if there's a question that I haven't maybe addressed in this, you can go to my website. I have a page there on most frequently asked questions, and I do keep that up to date. So every time somebody contacts me and they have a question, I just share it on that page, because again, it's a quick, easy way for people to just reference, oh, maybe I have that question, or I have this question, maybe she's already answered it. It's quite possible, but again, it might not be, so I'm happy to answer anything. So thank you so much for taking time to watch this and for having purchased and or thought about purchasing one of my kits. I'm sending you love, gratitude, and whole healing vibes. See you next time. Bye.